Hello, vinyl community, and welcome back to Mike's Vinyl Experience. Thank you all so much for being with me here today. I appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you for being with me here today. Today, I am so excited to share with you my thoughts and impressions on Impex's very latest 1Step of Stan Getz and Joao Gilberto. This album was released originally in 1964. It's been an audiophile favorite really since it was inception in 1964. There's been dozens, and I mean dozens upon dozens. I don't even know how many times this has been repressed, in particular audiophile labels. I was originally planning on purchasing the acoustic sounds version of this animal just a while back, but knew this album was coming out. And at the time, the only version of this album that I had was a DSD file of this album, which sounds very, very nice. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I thought I would wait, and I know it's quite a bit more money, but having had a few other of the Impex 1Steps and been very pleased with them, I really wanted to get this on 1Step. I've really purchased all of Impex's 1Step, with the exception of the Jennifer Warren's album, which I do have an Impex version of that album, just not the 1Step. But been very impressed with Impex and their work, especially on these 1Steps. They just go to such great care and have done such a phenomenal job with not only the sound of the album, but with the box itself, the rendering of the albums. Quality control seems to be a number one with Impex, and I am grateful for that. Before we get right into the sound of this album, let me kind of show you what we have in the box. So the box that they come in is really a well-made, sturdy box. As you can see, the cover is textured. I really like the yellow color of this, by the way. I think it's really neat. Very, very nicely built. Impex calls this their Super Luxe Monster Pack jacket. And you know, it is really, really done very, very well and sturdy and nice looking. My number is 0728 of 7500. So if you're interested in this, it's probably something you're going to want to jump on fairly soon if you want this copy of it. But what's in the box, of course, is a very, very, very nice rendering. And I'm hoping I can get this to you so you can see it well. Rendering of the original album. And the artwork on this album is in particular impressive. You know, I remember walking into audio salons and audio shows throughout my years and always seeing this cover. And, you know, and I remember listening to The Girl from Ipanema. Everybody was playing that at shows from, oh gosh, the early 70s, as I remember started going to those shows. Excuse me, not early 70s, but late 70s and 80s and 90s. And even now, as indicated, this is just a regular audiophile classic. So for Impex to really jump in and do this, you know, like I say, this album is an audiophile favorite among all audiophiles, and it's been really redone numerous times. And for Impex to come in and do it, you know, they always have to make sure that it's just right, it's perfect, and of course done right. And as I get to this and talk about the sound here in a little bit, you'll know what I mean. They've really done a great job with this album. You can see that it's just the album cover is incredibly nice. Rendering of the original. What an incredible album. Now, the thing that really sets this apart is, of course, there's a picture of, I guess, the group when they were doing a listing of the songs, and then just a little bit of discussion on the 1Step edition there. some liner notes. It's a 36-page booklet, and I'm not going to go through every page of it, but just to let you know, it is incredible. It talks about the master tape that they used, you know, and I'm sure the master tape, you know, it was recorded, like I say, back in New York in 1963 in March, around the same time. And so for those original master tapes, which they've used here, you know, you'd think that they'd be getting a little bit worn out. There was no digital process at all in here. I also want to show you, they talk a little bit about the one-step process and how they do these one steps. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that here in just a second. But they just got some incredible pictures in this booklet. This booklet is really, really, really well done. I can't stress how impressive the presentation is of this booklet. I mean, the quality of the imagery and the notes and whatnot. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute too, because this was actually put together. Impex relied quite heavily on Stan Getz's wife, Monica, and I believe a son, to put this together. And so, gosh, they've just done I just think a masterful job of putting this album together. Of course, in remastering this, Impex had Bernie Grundman do the remastering. And of course, Bernie Grundman is incredible, obviously. And so you know that the sound quality that you're going to get is very likely going to be the very best possible to be pulled out of those original master tapes. It's on their they're quiet. It's the vinyl that they put it on is their VR 900 Supreme vinyl. Of course, they're 180 gram, 45 RPM albums. And on this album, they've got a couple of extra songs that weren't on the original. And so, and they are O Grande Amor, and I probably am saying that and pronouncing it wrong, so I'm sorry. But they've also, or excuse me, not that was the last song on the original album. The Girl from Ipanema, mono version of that cut, and then Cora Cordova is a live track that they did back in New York. It was a live presentation. So there's a couple of extra songs on the album, but really, as discussed, the album cover and the booklet inside are absolutely worth having if you're a fan of this type of jazz music. And I know a lot of people classify and say this type of music is like elevator music, and it's contemporary jazz for sure. But really, if you like this type of music, you really want to get this. You really would want to get this version, not only for the booklet and the quality jacket that you get and the presentation of the entire thing, but just for the sound quality. The sound quality on this is absolutely phenomenal. Let me just kind of pull out an album and kind of show it to you out of the sleeves. Here we got side one, which has The Girl from Ipanema and Doralice, and I know I'm pronouncing these names wrong, but anyway, the vinyl is, like I say, 180 gram, incredibly well done albums. The sound quality is incredible on these albums. As I was listening to this, and like I said before, the only comparison that I have, and I didn't buy the Acoustic Sounds version because I wanted this one, and I didn't want to have a dozen copies of this. The only other version I have is a DSD 128 version that I believe that came from not native DSD, but I believe it came from Direct Analog. Anyway, I can't remember, but I'll put it in the liner notes below where I got that from. I got the DXD version of it, but when you buy the DXD version of this album, you also get the lower resolution. And on my current digital playback system, the maximum resolution that I have is 128, DSD 128. I plan on upgrading that digital, and that's why I kind of buy those DXD files when I'm purchasing those digital files, so that I have the maximum when I'm able to play them. But anyway, that was really what I had to compare it with. And in honesty and truthfulness, the DSD sounds fantastic, because this album was recorded so well to begin with. The DSD sounds fantastic, but is miles behind this new Impex 1Step version. So let me get into the sound of this album, the Impex 1Step of this incredible Stan Getz Joao Gilberto. Really, the star on the album, and the reason that people really like this album, I think, and it's really the most popular cut on the album, is The Girl from Ipanema. And I think that's really a great song. The stars on that album, of course, Stan Getz's tenor sax is the star of the entire album. But that first song, Girl from Ipanema, Audiophile Gilberto, which I believe is Joao's spouse, his wife, her voice is just incredible. Very laid back type of voice, very sweet. And really, Joao's voice on the album, which is really, his voice is really laid back as well. It's not a very powerful or a very, doesn't have like huge range. He's got a very nice and laid back presentation to his voice, which is actually really good. I don't speak Spanish in any way, shape, or form. I wish I did. So I don't really know what he's saying when he is singing, but his voice is very smooth, laid back, very well put together. Love his voice actually on this album. But really and truthfully, the stars of the album, of course, Stan Getz's tenor sax is phenomenal. I'm going to talk about that as I get into the track listing and some of the things that I heard. But really, the star as well, along with Stan Getz, is Joao's wife, Audiophile Gilberto. Her voice is absolutely stunning, in my opinion, in its presentation. Wonderful, smooth, laid-back type of voice, very similar to her husband's. She only sings on two songs, which is Girl from Ipanema and Corcovado. And I probably am slaughtering these names once again, so sorry. But those are the only two songs that she appears on and sings on, and they are great songs. But let me kind of get into the sound quality of this album with you. The Girl from Ipanema, as everyone's heard that. It's one of the most popular, if not the most popular song on the album. Astrude's voice in the left channel, which is Audiophile Gilberto, his wife's voice, appears in the left channel. Getz tenor sax is unforgettable, could be in the room with you. And that is really the hallmark of this album, is his tenor sax. I mean, it is so upfront and so clean and so clear. Percussion and drums are so very clean, great detail and unbelievable resolution. Now, when I compare this to the DSD file that I have, which, by the way, I'm not knocking in any way, shape, or form, it is fantastic and it sounds very nice. But there is just so much more resolution on the vinyl than there is in the DSD version. More natural pace to the sound, really compared to the DSD. In Doralice, which I'm pronouncing that name wrong, I'm sure, which is the second song on side 1, his voice, Joe's voice, is very nice and very clean and presented very, very well balanced, by the way. Getz's tenor sax is absolutely stunning, as it is throughout the entire album. But you can actually hear, as he's playing the keys and the valves hitting the pads, you can actually hear the clicking sound. It's unbelievable. It's remarkable. On the DSD version, you can too, but nowhere near as defined and as sharp as it is on this 45 RPM version that Impex has done. Percussion in left channel is so very clean, so very, it just has a rhythmic touch to it. And not that it's bad on the DSD version, it's just not as precise, clean, and clear as it is on this album. It's unbelievable. Moving over to side 2, and I'm pronouncing the names of these songs the best I can, so forgive me. Para Mature Emu Coraco. I'm probably slaughtering that. I admit it. Joao Gilberto's voice, his voice is very nice, balanced. The piano in this cut is in particularly well. By the way, the piano is done by Antonio Carlos Jobim. And he actually, speaking of Antonio Carlos Jobim, he actually wrote and composed the vast majority of all of these songs, including Girl from Ipanema. And so anyway, and I'll go through the people on the people in the group that are playing here in just a second. But the sound on side 2, the second song, Desafinando, I hope I'm saying that right. I know I'm not. So very sorry. His voice, once again, is incredibly clean and smooth. Sax is just unbelievably beautiful. High notes are extended with absolutely no hint of brightness or edginess. And in some of these songs on this album, the saxophone is so well pronounced, it is very dynamic, meaning the low tones from the tenor sax of Stan Getz's sax are presented very, very well. There's really no uncomfortable feelings, even when, and I talk about dynamics, even when he hits the highest of notes on that tenor sax. Sometimes instruments such as that will be a little bright, will be presented to a little, maybe with a hint of edge, brightness, if you will. None of that is here on this album, absolutely none. But they are extended and high and dynamic as all get out. The sax on this album, like I said before, is absolutely the star of this album. Moving on to one of the best songs, in my opinion, on the album, aside from A Girl from Ipanema, is Corcovado. This is the other song in which Astru Gilberto, she sings on this song. It is stunning. Absolutely, her voice is absolutely wonderful. Piano sounds, it opens with piano as well. And Antonio Carlos Jobim's piano is rendered extraordinarily well with great detail, depth, and tonality. It is incredible. High notes are extended with absolutely no hint of brightness or edginess. Once again, Getz's sax is dynamic and smooth and so striking on this song. Really, really an incredible, incredible recording. This album is really an audiophile. It's really meant for audiophiles, of course, and for people that enjoy and love the music, and I hope you enjoy and love the music to want to buy it. But it is an audiophile classic, and the sound that is represented on this Impex 1Step is absolutely nothing short of stunning for an audiophile release, considering it was recorded in 1963. and released in 1964. Fantastic sounding album, highly recommended. As indicated, they're printing 7,500 of these. If this is an album, an audiophile album that you want to have, it's certainly worth getting just for that. I hope you like the music as well. If you're unfamiliar with Stan Getz and Joao Gilberto, vet it out, check it out, and listen to it. And once again, the DSD version that I have, which I've listed in the description and where it came from, is excellent. It's very, very good. But I suspect, and I don't know this because I don't have them all, but I suspect all versions of this album actually sound pretty darn good. I would guess this is probably the definitive copy that you can get, audiophile version of this album that was recorded back in 1963 and released in 1964. I know there's a ton of audiophile quality albums out there, and I'm sure they all sound good. I would be, like I say, I'm pretty sure this, and I don't have any way of comparing or shouldn't be really making the statement, but I'm going to guess this will be the definitive copy of this album that can be purchased, at least at this point in time. Impex Records just does such a phenomenal job. The covers, the box that it came in, the quality of the vinyl, the sound of the vinyl, which obviously is probably the very most important. But the booklet that's involved with this album is indicated, Stan Getz's wife, Monica, was very instrumental with Impex putting this all together. They've done a great job. This is a phenomenal audiophile album. If it's right for you, I believe if you love the music, this type of music, and you're looking for the best quality possible, it's absolutely worth $129. I think Impex has just done a great job with this. Highly recommended. Coming right up here very soon, we have our unboxing video of the Eagles, The Long Run. We'll also follow that up with a complete review of the album. We'll be comparing that to an original pressing as well as an SACD version of The Long Run. We've got that coming up, and many others that are coming up. Thank you so much for watching today. I appreciate you all very much. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Are you buying this album? Have you already bought it? If so, what do you think? How is the sound? What do you think of the packaging? The entire project as a whole? Let me know what you think about it. And as always, if you like what you see, please go ahead and subscribe. Thank you and have a great day.